Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Swipe Up, the 144th episode, where I share some posts from Instagram and comment them on them and talk about them and discuss them and share them with you. So let's get it started, shall we? History has been made, and it's amazing that it happened on the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. One of their players, Carl Nassib, came out as gay. The first NFL player to be openly gay. Probably one of many football players who are gay. I'm sure there's a bunch in many sports. But yeah, he was the first to come out, and he's donating a bunch of money to suicide prevention for the LGBTQ plus community, which is great. It's kind of interesting. Out of all of the teams in the NFL, like it doesn't really it's surprising. I don't know what team in the NFL would be the most likely to have gay players on them, but being the Raiders, because like the Raiders are like the symbol of, in at least Southern California, are the symbol of like gang attire. Like growing up, like that was, silver and black. That's some gang stuff. And then you have probably the one I would expect there to be a gay player on, if not multiple, would be the Chargers, which is a team that used to be in San Diego. I don't know where they are now, but a team which I tried to get into football watching when I lived in San Diego. I was like, I finally live in a city that has a team. I'm going to root for the Chargers. And it was actually the season where they actually went to the playoffs. Did they go to the playoffs? Did they go to the Super Bowl? I don't know. It was when they had like that one coach, Marty Schottenheimer. Was that the guy's name? And they fired him. They got Norv Turner after him, and he's just one of the worst. Like one of the most painful coaches to watch run that team. It was a good team, and it's just depressing to see. It's like, oh, I have to be a fan of this team knowing that they're running it. It's like somebody being a Republican when Trump was in office. Like you're just dedicated to that team despite the fact that they're clearly ruining things. That's what it was like when Norv Turner was the coach of the Chargers, trying to be a fan of the NFL and a team in the NFL. Really, I went to live games. I would go to sports bars. I was into it, man. I jerseys, knockoff, jerseys, because those are expensive. So you got to find somebody that can get, the knockoff ones for a good price. But I was in it, man, for a few years. I tried. And then it was like, why am I rooting for a team just because they're in my city when the coach is horrible? Like, they don't know. They're just wasting plays. Like, the plays that are being called. And then you have this quarterback that's just like, man, it was painful. I couldn't do it. So I could see, like, the Chargers being a team where a player could be, especially when they were in San Diego. There's a pretty big gay population in San Diego. Despite San Diego being pretty conservative, really conservative town. Both on like the there's a lot of wealth in San Diego, but then also there's like a lot of white trash in the East County. So you're getting like both sides of the conservative spectrum. The people that are rich enough to where they don't have to pay taxes, and then you have the just uneducated people that are racist. But yeah, the Raiders, congratulations. That's amazing. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any any pushback or any like controversy, I mean, a guy protesting cops killing people, I think ruined that one dude's career. So it's like, just for kneeling. I don't know. I really don't care about the NFL at all, or any. I don't watch any sports anymore. Used to watch UFC, but Disney convinced me. Disney. The greed of Disney is the reason I don't watch the UFC anymore. But yeah, congratulations to Carl Nassib, living your true self. Everybody should just be yourself. Be open to who you are. Stop everybody's got a facade. Whether it's you're in the closet for your sexual identity, which means nothing. I mean, it means, I guess, it's part of who you are, but it shouldn't be your identity. There should be a lot of other parts of things and interests of yours that are aside from just your preference of sexual partner, or lack of. If you're asexual or bisexual, it's a whole spectrum of what you're into. That it just like everything. There's gray area to everything. There's a spectrum to everything, and try to live the truest self, not having to hide behind some false mask, some false facade of existence, is a much easier way to live. Living you're basically living a lie. You're not out, which I understand. It's hard. Society culturally in America forces a lot of people, whether they be gay or, Nazis. Society kind of forces a lot of people to not be openly themselves. But then you get people like Trump in office, and they make Nazis very comfortable to just be their racist, white supremacist self. Like, that's what Trump inspired all of the hateful people to be openly hateful. That's what Trump inspired in people. And hopefully this dude will inspire people to feel comfortable, despite being in a rough sport like the NFL, like a manly man sport. Like, there are gay dudes in manly shit. You're just going to have to deal with it. All forms. There's billions of people on the planet living 100% unique existences. Like, their reality is different from every other human on the planet. Just going to have to. We don't fit into easy categories. We're not DVDs on a Blockbuster shelf. But speaking of fictional stories, let's move on to two grown-ass men wearing costumes representing their separate fictional works of literature. You have a Spider-Man and a grown adult man in a Spider-Man outfit costume meeting with and greeting Pope Francis. Is that his name? Pope Francis. The lead pedophile. The guy in charge whose business pays no taxes and protects pedophiles. It's an insane thing to see a comic book character shake the hand of a cult leader. Both wearing ridiculous outfits. And I don't know. They both have extremist followers. Both comic book people and not all of them. Same thing with religious people. Not all religious people are extremists, but for sure there's a ton of extremists, Catholics and Christians. But yeah, just complete nonsense. This video is just complete nonsense. It's ridiculous. Like, this is how you know there's a lot of people on this planet when things happen like this. It's just like there's too many things are happening. Of course, crazy things like this are going to happen. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's move on. This is something that is not really surprising, but something that I heard. I have a friend on the East Coast who is into yoga and was doing a lot of online yoga classes, teaching yoga or running classes. I don't know the proper terminology. But she told me that that the yoga community is just full of QAnon people, which makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, because yoga for a long time is one of those alternative athletic things. It's similar to meditation, which I do meditation. I love meditation, acupuncture. There's like a lot of alternative things, like alternative, just like this alternative lifestyle things, which is chocked full. Most of those people, if you're getting into alternative forms of fitness or meditate, which they're definitely more mainstream now than ever, especially yoga. But when you consider that the beginnings of those things are people who tend to think outside of the box as far as what our current reality is, whether it's from massive drug use. I mean, it's a community that's been into and populated conspiracy theory beliefs forever. I mean, you think of that kind of person, they're like, modern medicine is ridiculous, which there's aspects to it, like, big pharma is horrible, but medicine works, vaccines work, things like that. But they have this, like, it's very similar to like religious beliefs of like that we can do everything holistically if you get the right stones, you meditate, your stars are aligned. Like, I think all of those things are valid stuff. And I think they all have their positives, and they bring their gifts that they bring that can enhance your life. Yoga being a great way to strengthen your body, to meditate and be kind of physically get in touch, really awaken that central nervous system. It does a lot of good things. You could study it with science and all the things that a lot of these people don't believe in. Like, what they are doing is scientifically proven to do stuff, to be effective. But to kind of take those types of beliefs from a kind of like a pseudo-religious angle, it's not surprising at all that they would be into, not only alternative ways of fitness, but also alternative ways, like, of information. It's there's a lot of cult behavior in everything, whether it's comic books, Star Wars. I mean, even yoga. I'm sure yoginis, the leaders of yoga, like the guy who did hot yoga, the Bikram guy, he was like a cult leader. Like, it's very cult adjacent, just because it has positive aspects to it. That just like anything, you can just get way too deep into stuff. You could it can just become your identity. Like, their identity is to be against every mainstream thing. It's very similar to like a hipster in a way, but it's like they're also the same people that don't like hipsters. It's just another collection of people that are stubborn and want to just imagine a reality that suits their existence better. So not that surprising that the yoga community is full of misinformation. Doesn't mean yoga doesn't work, It doesn't mean that when you do yoga it's not beneficial to you, but be aware that you're going to be around people that are just as nuts as somebody in like a monster truck rally, There's going to be surprisingly a lot of crossover in the belief systems between yoga communities, alternative medicine communities, and monster truck rallies. I mean, it's just they just resliced humanity in a different way. Like, it used to be sliced, politics used to be like, fundamental Christians and people who, said that they were, fiscally conservative. They don't want government spending, even though they have no problem with, the military spending and police spending, which is the bulk of the government spending. But they say they just want to pay less taxes. They don't understand the budget discrepancies and how much money exponentially is going to projects of death. Police and the military kill people. But anyway, I don't remember where I was going with that. But I totally just went on a tangent and got loose. How about we do this? How about we move on? Let's move on to something crazy that happened in New York. A guy, which isn't the first time I've seen it, but it looks like he's back out. Probably did a lot of tinkering and adjusting during the pandemic. But dude is riding a drone kind of. Yeah, it's almost like it's a big drone. Yeah, it's just got a bunch of propellers on it. But yeah, it's a giant drone that's carrying this guy. He's riding it like a surfboard through Times Square in New York, which is just insane. It's just crazy. He can't have a permit for that. Like, I don't know. And the cops, what are the cops gonna throw stuff at him? They're trying to shoot him out of the sky to give him a ticket. I mean, he can fly up pretty high, it looks like. Like, I would imagine he could just fly to the top of one of those buildings if he had a parachute on. Like, he doesn't seem to have, like, if that thing crapped out on him, he's got a helmet on. He's got a helmet. I don't even know if he has any kind of padding. It looks like just a wetsuit and a motorcycle helmet. So not a whole lot of safety stuff if this drone all of a sudden craps out on you. But I mean, technology is a crazy thing, and we're living in crazy times. So I'm just not going to be surprised when I see crazy shit anymore. I'm just not going to be. But it is what it is. Let's do some shout outs and get out of here. Shout out to BuzzFeed News. Shout out Rick Tapia. Shout out ABC News, and shout out LA Times. But most importantly, shout out to you. Get yourself some amazing coffee over at stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. It's the place that makes the small batch, single origin, premium coffee. It's brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont. It's shipped directly to you. Go over to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some amazing coffee today and let them know the Ray Taylor Show sent you. New episodes of the Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!